So you've most likely heard this on the internet at this point, but I wanted to throw my voice out there because this is not okay. This is genuinely dangerous. So, if you're living in the land of tea and crumpets, such as myself, or in America and Australia, because as far as I know, these two countries are also being affected by this, a certain individual known as Keir Starmer is passing a law about online safety. Now, on paper, you guys are probably thinking, wow, online safety? That sounds great. And then when he claims it's to, quote, protect the children and the women, you might think, wow, we might finally have a utopia. You are dead wrong. Because not only is Keir Starmer, with this law, and trying to ruin everything on the internet that we know and love, a group known as Collective Shout are also ruining everything. But we'll get to them in a short while. So, besides claiming that women and children will be protected online, which you'll learn very quickly is a bold-faced lie, but it's also the fact that there will be monitoring police that will monitor everything you say if you're someone who creates content like me, and everything you do. So even when you're just chilling on YouTube, wanting to listen to music or watch a video you love, you're being watched. Now, this sounds like crazy talk, and most of the time, in most scenarios, I'd believe you. In fact, I'd be behind you. But this isn't crazy. This is a reality. You know George Orwell's novel 1984? Well, if you're in the land of tea and crumpets and the countries mentioned, it's no longer fiction. It's real. We are heading in that direction, and that is absolutely terrifying. So, let's say the stuff you do, they don't like. What could happen? Well, you would either have to verify your age by either doing a facial scan, giving your ID, or your passport and driver's license. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain why that's bad, but I'm going to anyway because it is legitimately serious. So, the first reason why this whole verifying your ID, verifying your age thing is a terrible idea. You can get doxed. For those of you who don't know their internet lingo, doxed basically means your location, where you live, being revealed. Now, out of all of these options, the facial scan seems the least threatening out of all of them. But let's say the facial scan is not an option. Well, you're going to have to sell your soul to Starmer and Collective Shout if you want to live, essentially, if you want to do what you want. Because here's one thing they don't know. The internet is part of our culture, and it has been for a very long time now, so yeah. So far on YouTube, and rightfully so, they have gotten a lot of backlash. I recommend, besides watching this video, go and search for many people who are also raising their voices about how this is not okay. And besides the risks to your safety, our country is at risk as well. You know data breaches? They have been scarily common across websites. Just recently there was this tea app that got breached. So that should tell you everything. Do your own research on that situation. I don't really want to talk about it here. And it's not just doxing that's going to skyrocket. It's identity theft. Which, hey, Keir Starmer, did you know identity theft affects women too? Not only are you taking away my right to privacy, which I'll talk about later, you're taking away my ability to speak basic English. Anyway, so let's just say you cave, right? You cave. You give your ID, or your driver's license or your passport or your bank details, which I forgot to mention earlier, you're most likely going to get leaked online. Because guess what? People's passports and driver's license have already leaked onto Google Images. Now granted, Google are trying to take them down, but let's be honest, they're appearing quicker than they're being taken down, so yep, like I mentioned and will continue to mention, the human right to privacy is being taken away and is not okay. You shouldn't give your ID or any personal information to any website. Because with this change as well, you can't even check the website ahead of time to see whether it's safe to use, safe to put your ID in. So you're playing Russian roulette on whether or not you'll get leaked online or you'll live to fight another day, which is just downright disgusting. How is this allowed to be a law? And to get back to that point of saying what could happen if you want to, access certain stuff, and no, it's not just adult only websites, this affects absolutely everything. You could get arrested for it, like I'm not even joking. Thought crime is real and Keir Starmer hates it. So you could be, maybe someone like me who likes weird niche topics. Well, according to out of touch people like Starmer, let's say, and Collective Shout. Let's say I am playing Elden Ring. 2022 Game of the Year award winner. The game where you feel like a god when you defeat really hard bosses. They don't like that because it's so scary and it has violence and women get hurt. Oh, by the way, Collective Shout are run by woke feminists. Normally, we point and laugh at them and move on with our lives. Now they have power and Starmer's backing them, so we went from laughing to being terrified of them. They've even claimed a victim, which we'll talk about later. So, thought crime? Yep, you could be arrested for it. You can't even talk about certain topics anymore without possibly getting arrested and swatted for it, so yeah. If Britain wasn't already cooked before, it most certainly is now. And honestly, as a gamer and someone who appreciates art on the internet, and this art potentially being taken away, this is just beyond evil. I'm pretty sure George Orwell would be blushing right now, thinking, wow, I didn't think my novel would become real life, damn. This sucks. Also, yeah, they can see your search history. Well, it's more like Starmer, but I wouldn't be surprised if Collective Shout got the privilege. It just boils my blood that one of the pastimes that humans have been enjoying ever since the 90s is now being suppressed. Like I mentioned earlier, Elden Ring. He'll be like, oh, that's a really violent game, and there's female characters that get attacked. Oh my god, that's so evil, we need to ban it. Meanwhile, Sharon, mother of two, has suffered identity theft, and is being attacked by a man, but oh god forbid we help her. Elden Ring is clearly the bigger threat here, guys. What a joke. And let's talk about The Victim that was claimed by Collective Shout. Do you remember Mouthwashing, that horror game? The game where it's specifically there as a way to teach people to not be a jerk like the main protagonist of that game, Jimmy. They took that game down off of itch.io. It's on Steam as of this video's recording. Hopefully Gabe Newman can defend it and, make sure this doesn't happen, but come on. With how terrible things have been going so far, I'm not very optimistic. And this was just after the Visa and MasterCard controversy, where they made it, and I wouldn't be surprised if once again Starmer was behind this, you couldn't buy adult content games, and games are being falsely flagged as it. Man, this is one of the worst years to live now. I was thinking, oh boy, I can't wait for all these game releases. they might not even happen anymore because of this law, or if they do, they are going to be heavily censored to hell and back. Anyways, let's get back to mouthwashing and that incident. So, it was Collective Shout that claimed mouthwashing off of itch.io because the woke feminists didn't like what happened to the female character, and they didn't like it. Again, the whole point of the game is to teach you, don't be like Jimmy, don't be a jerk, don't be disgusting. But of course, these women and other people's brain cells are so microscopic, they didn't think to look that far into it. They just looked at the surface and deemed it dangerous. And this doesn't just speak for mouthwashing, this goes to all horror games and other games that both Starmer and Shout deem scary and a threat to the nation. Meanwhile, Timmy, age 13, got his ID leaked, and not only is he being bullied to no end at school, but a bunch of people showed up to his door and now he's dead. By the way, all these examples, they're not real people. I'm just making hypothetical scenarios, but they may as well be considering how bad this law is. But yeah, the point is, they have the wrong priorities, and they are threatening the internet as we know it, and gaming as a hobby. But there's one other thing I haven't mentioned yet. YouTube. Oh, mother of Christ, we are in for a bad, bad time. So, YouTubers. Yep, they're in the crossfire too. So, with YouTube, apparently, according to your favourite, Keir Starmer, now it's our duty to protect children online. Now, I am someone who tries to be as friendly as possible, with my videos. I understand that people don't like swearing, they don't like certain things, so I make sure to avoid it. Here's the problem though. Our videos could get taken down and demonetized if Starmer doesn't like it. And honestly, considering how sensitive YouTube's AI for checking videos are, honestly, the floodgates are open. Some people are gonna lose their careers. Or, for people like me, our hobbies. Because I love making YouTube videos. I love sharing my passions about things I'm interested in. But since, thought crimes are real now, who knows, maybe I'm in the local prison by next week just because I like Five Nights at Freddy's and Sonic.exe and insert favourite game here that they most likely will not like, so yeah. So, originally, this is the part of the video where I was going to say that there is a public solution. And this is where I would have said, you could sign a repeal, which is basically a, no thank you, don't do this, we don't like that. But it passed its goal. And the government didn't like that, so it got taken down. They put a response on the official Parliament website, which roughly translates to, nah, we're still doing it. We don't care. Say bye-bye to privacy, and say hello to the era of surveillance, much as we'll try and gaslight you and tell you it's not. Yeah, like I said, this is a complete and utter joke. So, what could happen to YouTubers like me? We might not be able to make content anymore. Like, I am really hoping that this isn't my last video. By all means, I will try and continue making content and see where it takes me, but I'm not feeling optimistic. So, yes, people like me might lose our channels and, won't be able to make content anymore. And again, remember the monitor police? They have AI being trained for it too, so when I mentioned about YouTube's AI being a bit hit and mix, the same applies here, so good luck, and may the odds be in your favour, which they're not. So, yeah. The internet, the dead internet theory is no longer a theory. It's happening before our very eyes. And the people that are trying to pass this law are in their 60s. They are not of this generation. They don't understand how the internet works. In fact, I hate to sound absolutely horrible, and I have no doubt there are people in their 60s who are incredibly intelligent. They probably don't even know how to work an oven, or how to turn an iPad on, or bring up Vice search engine. So, yeah, us YouTubers are in just as much danger as your average Joe Schmo. So, let's recap this whole video so far. There's a law being passed where we are actively being silenced. We are being told to do what Starmer says or else suffer dire consequences. The internet is becoming too public. YouTubers like me are being threatened to quit our hobbies or, for some cases, jobs. The woke mob finally have the power they oh so wanted, have claimed a horror game that has been well loved, and will no doubt claim others. And then once all the horror games are gone, all games will be attacked. And right as the whole stop killing games movement has been really taking off, so yeah, that really sucks. And, you should know this by now, but just in case you somehow didn't, this whole thing is propaganda at its finest. Starmer don't care about no protection for women and children, because why would you risk having identity theft, bank theft, and, overall harassment have their risks increased tenfold just so you can claim safety? And the fact that privacy is now a foreign concept because you are spying on everything we do. And I know damn well I'm gonna get comments like, I ain't got nothing to hide. Oh really? Well, what if he finds out you did something you're not very happy about in the past and that is illegal? Now all of a sudden you have everything to hide. And it's now easily being found. So yeah, don't use the argument of I ain't got nothing to hide, because you do. You're just trying to be different. But yeah, this law is genuinely dangerous. It's really harmful. Our country is at risk. I mean, it's pretty bad enough that certain events are taking place which will not be named, but if you know, you know. And, it's almost like the government took a look at all of us and was like, wow, what absolute morons, what absolute children. You know what? Besides having children, will lie and say that this whole surveillance thing is to protect children. Let's treat the general population like children, but still give them the adult dangers of life. So, yeah. With all of this doom and gloom, is there anything we can do? The repeal is gone now. What can we do? Make our voices heard. Be loud to the point of deafening. I remember one quote from one YouTuber talking about stuff, and they said, if you want something to change, you have to be very annoying about it. So, if you well and truly, Mr. Starmer, and I guess Collective Shout, if you guys really, and I mean really cared about the safety of children and women, you wouldn't be putting this law in place. You would have listened to us by now. You would have repealed the law. You would have been like, wow, sorry guys, I didn't realise that this was such a bad thing, even though you most definitely should have when you was thinking about passing this law. And you would have gone, I'm sorry, go back to what you were doing, we're not going to spy on you anymore. As unrealistic as this is sounding, and this is not going to happen, you guys know damn well, I know damn well. And the woke mob will leave, they'll go, oh, we don't have power anymore. time to be clowned on again and treated not seriously. But yeah, besides making our voices louder and making it incredibly clear that we are not okay with this change, support everyone you can, alright, while you still can. Because besides, everyone being affected by this, there'll be certain groups of people that are going to be targeted even more. One of those groups being the LGBTQ. Because being different is scary, am I right? This is disgusting. If I've not already made it clear throughout this whole video, this is just straight up disgusting. I'm going to put here a pinned comment that a YouTuber made on their post talking about these dark times that are fast approaching, talking about how dangerous this is, just like how I've been talking about it these last couple minutes, or however long this video is at this point. Besides not being able to buy anything you want now, and being watched, people who are not, straight white or straight black, and even then that could be contentious, you're going to be targeted. You're going to be automatically assumed you're either a horrible person or, you're not worth anything. Also, talking about stuff like being hurt and, being made fun of and being targeted. Nope. Can't talk about that. You'll scare the kids, even though they're going to be the ones that are going to suffer this with this law. So yeah, like that YouTuber in their pinned comment said, it's just not okay. Please support everyone around you. They're gonna need it, and you're gonna need it. I guess one last thing I could propose, which I don't think people are going to do this in protest, because again, the internet is so ingrained in our culture at this point, is to just log off entirely. Turn off Wi-Fi on all of your devices, delete every social media, log off of your social medias, and just live like it was in the 90s and 80s. Again, I do not expect this to happen, because again, the internet is part of our lives essentially, but that might be the last ditch effort. That might be the final option we turn to if nothing else works. So yeah, this sucks. George Orwell's novel is becoming real life, and who knows, the prisons could be overrun with people enjoying their weird hobbies and liking video games, because apparently that's the biggest threat right next to, whatever else is going on. So yeah, please stay safe out there. Please take care of your family, your friends, your loved ones, your significant others, because this is going to be a dark time. The UK is a dictatorship now. Yay, I can't wait for this video to get taken down, even though by doing that, they're just going to prove my point even further. And everyone goes into hiding. Everyone, tries to pretend to be normal as hard as they can until inevitably a flaw shows. And then, you get dragged away to prison or, God forbid, an asylum. I'm sorry that I'm sounding so hyperbolic and, so out of character as I usually am. That's because this is the real world. This is a real law. You can't censor being mean to people in real life, Starmer. You can't do that. You may be able to do it on the internet, but you can't do it in real life. And people being mean to you is part of life. You're gonna come across people that are like that. What? You're going to try and censor the bullying incident at the local primary school? Try and hold a board over the two children fighting each other on all sides where they can be seen? Okay, buddy, sure. That'll work. Yep. This might be my last video. If it even stays up at this point, which I don't really anticipate it doing so. But while it's still up, and while other people's videos talking about the topic are still up, spread them. Spread them as far as you can. We cannot let this law get passed, because if it does, we will no longer have the human right to privacy. And, you know, you guys are probably thinking, well, just use a VPN to get around it. Nope, they've taken note of that too, so count your days of using your VPN, because it'll be taken down too, and you'll really have no form of escape. So, that's it. That's it. The internet's dead. It's all over. The odds are not in our favour, but we can try. You want to know why all of this is even happening in the first place? You want to know why we're all gonna suffer possibly one of the worst times of British history? And history of the other countries mentioned, like I said. It's bloody parents who don't know how to parent. It's those parents that, as soon as they give birth to their child, they give them an iPad or a phone, and that's it. How many times do we have to teach you parents this lesson? You are ruining our lives now. All because you just couldn't bear your child crying anymore, instead of actually stepping up and being the parent that you signed up to be by having that kid. You know, playing with them, you know, watching maybe a show they like with them. No, you just gave them the iPad with unlimited internet access, unsupervised internet access, and called it quits. And then when you saw something bad, like the ElsaGate scandal back in the late 2010s, you ran to Starmer to solve the problem, instead of, utilising the tools that were put there for a reason. Ever heard of parental controls, anybody? Every video game console, every phone, I'm pretty confident every form of technology has this. Use it, instead of causing the entire country, and who knows, one day the world, to suffer. Use them. Alright? I don't want to have to start making tutorials on how to use parental controls, and I don't want to have to make videos trying to explain why this game should not be banned. This is your fault, iPad parents. This is your fault. I hope you're happy with what you got, because now you've ruined Britain. Ugh, sorry about that. I got real mad there, didn't I? I mean, I was mad the whole video, but I was especially mad at that. But it's the truth. The internet and technology were never meant to be children's babysitters, and they never will be. How parents can still do this is baffling. That should fall under counts of child neglect. They should be arrested for it. This law shouldn't be passed. Parents like that should be arrested. And any parents-to-be should have to sign a document that says, you're having this kid, right? You're going to promise to not give your kid any form of technology until their late teen years. That's what I would recommend, at least. And if they go, well, no, it's like, no, you can't have the kid then. When you have the kid, they'll go to someone else who will truly care for them better than you. That sounds harsh, but if you really sit and think about it, it's the parents' fault. So, yeah. Now, one final thing to mention before I end this video. Nigel Farage. Now, this fella here claims that he will repeal the law. He says, which, take this with a grain of salt considering who we've been talking about for the majority of this video, that, you know, like we're all thinking, this law is a invasion of privacy. It takes away the freedom of speech, and it's generally dystopian, which, if you really do mean that, then yes, this is dystopian. This shouldn't even be possible, but anyways, he claims he'll be our saviour. I'm not gonna get my hopes up. This country has had way too many false promises, way too many lies shoved down our throats, so I'm not gonna get my hopes up. I'm just gonna fear for the day when I log on to, I don't know, a game like Fortnite or Minecraft, and then it tells me do this facial scan to play this game, or sell your soul with your ID. We don't care if a weirdo turns up on your doorstep the next day. You want to play your game? You want to be considered a good person? Sell your soul. But yeah, if all else fails, which it most likely will, considering our history with bad things happening, then yeah, when I'm in my 60s, I'll be telling the children the day video games died, and how I was never the same person. And yes, I also anticipate comments of people being like, "Why are you being so dramatic? Just have a different hobby." You don't get it. You don't get it if you're one of those people. But yeah, I think I've been talking long enough. I don't really want to think about this anymore, but I had to make this video because this rubs me the wrong way. And I want the internet to still be the place it's always been. Expressing yourselves, sharing beautiful works of art, whether it be source filmmaker animations, or video essays, or just being a Let's Player who likes to have fun, like me. This place shouldn't be monitored and make it so basically only children can use the internet now. That's not what the internet's for. Keep children off the internet, keep them off technology, and hope and pray you don't get doxxed. So, that's the end of this video. Spread it. Spread it like a virus. I refuse to have my freedom taken away from me. And you should feel that too.